as things stand, probably the hopes that we had for next year, where the economy might grow by more than 2%, may not be realised unless it is possible that there could be a big reversal of opinion in Europe, that they'd find some kind of solution over the next 6 months that convinces markets. But as things stand, one has to assume, I think, that next year will be pretty much the same as this one. Yes, the Irish economy is unusual in the amount of output that comes from foreign firms. And essentially, GDP is what's produced in the economy, and GNP is what's left for Irish people, Irish residents. So you subtract the earnings of the foreign companies, and of course, particularly with things like pharmaceuticals, that's a very large figure. So typically GNP, which I prefer to call national income, because it kind of explains it, it's our national income, that's about 20% less than output. And in most countries it's 2 or 3% of a difference. If people see that Italy is engaged in reforms, if they collected even half the unpaid taxes, they'd move immediately into a big public sector surplus. And equally, if their firms had some of this dead weight lifted off them. So if Italy can seriously tackle its problems, then it has, I think, plenty of potential to turn around and convince the markets. Greece is a very, very difficult case, and nobody really believes that the present situation is sustainable. But nor does anybody particularly know what to do with it. As Constantine was saying in this morning's conference, there's a huge lack of realism among large sections of the Greek public who simply don't kind of face up to the situation that we're in. And I think that's quite different from the Irish situation, let's say, where people may be angry, they may be upset, but they're pretty realistic about where they are. It could have been worse, according to Michael Noonan, because of the interest rate cut that we got on the bailout. He says that it saved him $900 million next year that he would have paid under the old rate. So how you had that would have mean we would have had a correction of well over $4 billion, 4.7. So these figures, huge swings here and there, but one can look at the figures that the government has set out for each of the budgets of 2014, and you can bet that that's the figure that they will produce each year. That's, if you like, is the sort of the bit that's set in stone. The great argument, of course, is how do they do that? What's the balance between tax and spending, and which taxes should rise and which shouldn't, and which spending should be cut and which shouldn't?